Hi, and welcome to Simply Happy Conversations. I'm Narelle King, and in this Simply Happy conversation, I'm talking with Sharon, an adult ADHD coach and a parenting mentor from the functional family. Sharon talks about ADHD coaching and how it helps clients. She also talks about the ADHD brain's negativity bias, and we discuss two examples. I've tried that before, and that doesn't work for me. This conversation is a video recording that you can watch on YouTube. Let's jump into this Simply Happy guest conversation. Welcome to Simply Happy Conversations. I'm Narelle King, wellness and organisational coach and yin and nidra yoga instructor. This podcast will help you create more time using organisational strategies so that you can start to simplify your life and prioritise your health. I'll be sharing conversations with other health and organisational experts and solo episodes with tips to help you simplify your life and prioritise your health. So today on Simply Happy Conversations, I have with me Sharon from the functional family. She is an ADHD coach and also a family parenting mentor who's passionate about supporting ADHDers with strategies. So welcome, Sharon.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's so nice to have you again. So you have been on before. It was back at episode 31. This is episode 99. So it has been a while.
I feel like a lot has changed. What's happening, especially in the ADHD world. There's a lot that's happening at the moment.
There is, isn't there? Actually, yes. It is, because that was 2022, Feb. So it has changed. And yourself has, your business has developed, and it's not just the mentoring, is it now, with parents?
Yes, I'm doing a lot more with individuals with ADHD. I would say my most common client now is actually mums with ADHD.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Late diagnosed as well?
Yes, usually late diagnosed. Usually their kids have got diagnosed and then they start thinking, maybe some of those things apply to me. And then, so I'm doing a lot of one-on-one coaching with women at the moment, which I absolutely adore. I love it so much. Our sessions are so fun and so engaging, and I just fall a little bit in love with every client, I think.
So do you prefer that to the parenting mentor?
I like both. And I think it's so nice to have the difference, because with one-on-one, it's very unique and individual to that person. When you're doing parenting strategies, and that's, kind of what I'm known for, it can be really quite challenging working with both parents, and it's quite emotional for the parents because they're looking at it from a parenting perspective. And I actually like the differences of each product that I have. I really quite like it. It's nice
keeps
balance.
It interesting, doesn't it? Yes. Yeah. And so your business has evolved then since 2022. Is there any other changes that you've made since then?
Oh, I love this. There's been so many changes. So now,
your podcast for a start too.
The podcast. Yes. So there's a few things that have changed. So when I first started this business, it was all about supporting people or supporting families with ADHD, because I know personally what it's like. I've got a whole household full of ADHD. All three of my sons and my husband have ADHD, and we've got some other diagnoses in there as well. And I really wanted to support these beautiful families. And it was all about experimenting and creating systems, much like what you do with organizing, but creating them, also for procedures to do with ADHD. And through that, I was looking around going, actually, there's a lot of parents that have ADHD here. And when we go to put in the systems, they haven't got the right support in place for themselves. And if I was going to do a better job of being able to help these beautiful families, I needed to be in a position to not only come at them with 101 strategies, but to support them with their own ADHD. And so I went back, I studied in New York at an incredible ADHD school for years. And now I am a certified ADHD coach as well. So I've got the parenting side of things, and I've been studying ADHD for 13 years, both informally and formally, and the lived experience combined with being, with having that coaching experience now. So we've got that. That's the one-on-one side of things. And now I've also got a membership, a low-cost membership, because I recognized that a lot of people can't afford one-on-one coaching and they still deserve support and access, and we need to be doing better for these families. So I created a low-cost membership, and I was like, every month we give them new experts, new content, new templates to help them implement the changes that we're implementing for their family. And then, of course, the podcast is new, which I absolutely love doing. It's just been nominated for Best Podcast, actually, for the Osmompreneur Awards.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And I've taken out some awards too since we've last spoken. So I've taken out the Cooks Community Award and the Local Business Awards and the Osmompreneur Awards and a Leadership Award. And so that's not why you do these things, but gosh, it's good for publicity. And I'll do anything that helps me get the word out there that we're here to support these beautiful families. I want to start a conversation about ADHD. And so that's what, these things are beautiful for connecting and creating conversations about it.
That's amazing. Well done. Congratulations on all of those awards.
You.
That's such a great feat. And I suppose it is, because how long is it since you started the business?
6 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess my whole idea behind the functional family has really changed, because at the start I was right in the thick of it and, barely coping myself, and really learning with my clients how to experiment and create things to make our home life easier. Because I was, aware of all the psychological strategies that we can do for ADHD, but it was no good if our home life just sucked. Like, we had no energy and we were burnt out and we didn't have the emotional capacity to help my beautiful kids. And so it's a bit of a journey. The business was like a hobby at the start. And now it is definitely not a hobby. Like, now I want to take on the world. Like, I want to take on other ADHD coaches. So we have got support for everybody. I don't want anyone to feel like I did at the start when my son first got diagnosed, when I walked out of that pediatrician's office with a photocopied pamphlet about ADHD. And I was like looking like, how on earth am I going to raise a functional human? I can't even get him to put his shoes on, and I've got a photocopied pamphlet. And to be fair, that photocopied pamphlet most of the facts were really outdated.
Yeah.
So a lot's changed, and in a great way.
And definitely even the conversations, isn't it, on social media and, in the education system and things have changed a lot over the last few years around ADHD. So what are some of the misconceptions that you hear around ADHD?
Well, TikTok is questionable. So we've got lots of people posting things about ADHD on TikTok, which is good. Some of them are amazing. But I think there was a recent study that's reviewed a lot of the content, and I think it was like 50% of the facts about ADHD on TikTok were incorrect. So we just got to be aware of that. So in terms of what's changing in terms of the conversation, was that what you were asking?
Yeah. The misconceptions that are out there that come through social media. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so much. And just, I think it is getting better. The misconceptions are like that whole naughty boy thing, or that you grow out of it, or that, it has to do with a certain socioeconomic group, that they don't have ADHD in France, guys. Like they absolutely do.
Right.
All of these things, which are just, I think we're all calling it for what it is now. And the tidal wave of ADHD and change is coming. We are seeing, we've just had a Senate inquiry about it. We're starting to see more and more people talking about, talking with, affirming language about neurodiversity and things. And I think it's all very welcome.
Oh, definitely. And, myself personally having a, not self-identified, but formally identified later on in life, because it's not really late, is it? It's still valid no matter what time, when it's happened. It's great to now have that self-awareness. And I wish I could have had that as a younger, child, teenager, but I don't. And I have it now, so I can use that to my advantage now.
Yes, that's right. Now, I'm so sorry, Narelle. Can I just turn my air conditioning off?
Sure. Lucky for you, you've got air conditioning.
Sorry.
So then for you, what are some examples of ADHD coaching, like things that you hear from adults, some of the struggles, but then some of the the examples of things that you've done or helped them see to help them move through whatever it was. Yeah.
So I'll talk a little bit about what ADHD coaching is, because I think people don't really understand what it is first, and then we'll go into an example. So really an ADHD coach is someone who is specifically trained to work with people who have ADHD, and they view any executive function struggles or any struggles that they're having in their life. It's kind of like a life coach who is using an ADHD lens to help them make those executive function struggles easier. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at, we know that, time blindness, organization, you would know these things from your beautiful job as well. And so what we do is we partner up with them. It is a very collaborative process. It's a bit different to going to a therapist. We're not talking about the past and things unless it's particularly relevant. We're about the practical things. We are about making life easier. That's what it has to be first, right? And so what we do is it's strength-based training. So we are drawing on the client's strengths and pulling some of those strengths into things that they're struggling with and seeing if we can make that a little bit easier for that client. And it is an exciting process. So usually work with an ADHD coach for about a minimum of 3 months. You see them every 2 weeks over Zoom usually. And we set fuzzy goals. We don't like to say goals for people with ADHD. Usually they have a negative feeling when they say goals. They go, ugh. So we say fuzzy goals or things that we're targeting. And the client is the boss of the sessions, so they can decide what they want to do. And at the 3-month mark, we check in just to check that we're getting some results and we're on the right track. And, for some people, that's enough. Like they do really, really well. That's what they need. They need those skills. And how often, are people getting taught about their incredible brains? People just don't know the information. So they're getting a little bit of information about the ADHD brain, but they're also learning how to harness the brain's potential and learning what to do in certain situations. So it's not as stressful going through day-to-day life, because as problems come up, they know that they've got all these strategies in their tool belt. They just go bam, and they bring out a strategy that they know that they've got because they've workshopped it with their ADHD coach. And it's just such fun as well. I love watching the client get that aha moment or get that confidence and start thinking, oh no, I've got this, something that they've beaten themselves up for their whole life. They go, oh, you can see the weight gets lifted off their shoulders. And that's the bit that I live for. I love waiting for that moment where they get that confidence. And then they meet up with me in the next 2 weeks. And I love hearing how they, have conquered whatever was holding them back, that we were talking about in the next session. So for a specific example, I'm of course not going to say any names because ADHD coaching is completely confidential. But I had a beautiful mum that I was working with recently that, and I still am working with, that felt like she was failing at everything, failing at motherhood, failing at her job, failing at her relationship, failing at keeping house. She had all these really, really high expectations, because we know with ADHD often comes with perfectionist tendencies, right? And it causes this massive roadblock because we can't get started because we don't want to get started until everything's perfect.
Yep.
Or we get stuck in the planning phase. We go we have this big plan. We create a plan to make a plan, and then the plan gets too exhausting, and then we're too exhausted by the plan to start. So it's so there's a problem with ignition, but also momentum. So it's having that beautiful accountability. So what we did is we just started chipping away at things, limiting beliefs a lot. We chipped away at this lady's lovely, limiting beliefs that she had been holding on to, and creating just little tweaks in her day-to-day life. Where are the friction points? Where are the points that were zapping her energy? Because she really felt like she had nothing left to give at this point. It was close to giving up. She was close to giving up, sorry. And so we just tweaked little by little. And over time, you just see she started coming with a little bit more energy and a little bit more of a smile. And to eventually where I was getting emails during the week going, I just did this. Or I just said no to someone, which was a big
that boundaries, yeah.
I just executed a boundary, And she was just so excited with every win, and we just started stacking wins on top of wins, and to the point where, she didn't feel like she was failing at everything. She felt like she was winning, that the universe was actually aligning just for her. And that is the power of those little tweaks. Yeah. And just having someone in your corner to check in with you on how they're going as well. And often people with ADHD don't slow down enough. They're in perpetual motion, or their brain is very busy. They don't slow down enough to actually celebrate the wins. So marking those occasions is very important. I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but also to stop and think about what's working and what's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I think that's really important, isn't it? That reflecting on what is working and what isn't. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So,
because otherwise we just keep going and don't really go, okay, what is it that we could change? What's that tiny little thing that we could do that could make, you know, the hugest difference?
And sometimes it's having someone on your team, you know, that truly, you know, thinks you're amazing, that's there to help you with these things, you know, like just your cheerleader that's going, yes, we can do this. We've got this. Like, what do you know about this? Let's have a look at it from a top-down perspective. You know, how can we make this easier for you?
But also I think, like, you are an advocate of ADHD, and that would make a huge difference. Whereas I feel that you're always explaining why you can't do something or why this is, a struggle. Whereas you're not having to explain to an ADHD coach what the struggle is. They just understand and they're trying to help you and support you, really, isn't it? That's even right. The body doubling as well, yes. I'm sure. Just having that accountability.
And you've got someone that's on you that understands how your brain works, that's there just for you. And, you know, on a personal note, you know, you look around my life, all my favorite people have ADHD. So I am a big, big team ADHDer.
So maybe then talk a little bit about, because I loved this podcast episode of yours, which I'll link to, about the brain's negative bias. And tell us about it. And because I know for organizing, the two that I do hear a lot is, I've tried that before and that doesn't work for me, are the two negative biases that I will hear a lot.
Okay, well, let's
talk about
into that.
Negative biases. Yes.
So the ADHD brain, we know, has a negativity bias, right? So actually all brains have negativity biases generally, but the ADHD brain, it tends to stick in there a lot more. So there's a few reasons why. Number one, the ADHD brain struggles with short-term memory, and we know that the negativity brain, like the negative chemicals that are released when you have a negative emotion, stick around in your system for like 3 times longer than positive ones. So you've got more chance of remembering the negative ones because they're around for longer. Your body responds to it for longer. It takes longer to get rid of those. But also we've got RSD. So for those of you that don't know, we've got rejection sensitivity, dysphoria. And the easiest way I can explain that is we often have it people with ADHD feel things extremely. Easiest way I can explain it is when I receive a text message, I read it, hey, I'm going to be late. Start without me. Like, I read it in that tone. When my husband gets a text message, he reads it, hey, I'm going to be late. Start without me. Like this. He is... So it's the same text message, but we're perceiving a different tone. And that, if you take it across a lot of social situations, not just reading, is how he perceives things. Like, he perceives things as a slight jab or attack all the time. And he has to work really hard to overcome RSD or to ask the questions like, okay, what are the facts here? Do I actually have evidence for, you know, that being a negative experience? Changing that, that what if to an is, what actually is. Give me the facts of the situation. So when you're talking, so we know that we're prone to a little bit of negativity bias, right? We're prone to a bit of collecting the negative. And they're quite, the brain is good at going to the negative. Everyone's is. So, and we know that the ADHD brain is better at it. So when you come across things in like your job for organizing, and you mentioned you hear that pattern of thinking, I've tried that before, that's a bit of a brain trick, that one, because when someone says, like, when you start talking about a strategy and they say, I've tried that before, or they don't even say it, they think it, I've tried that before.
Yeah.
how often have we been in a seminar or something and they start talking about, and you get the gist that you might have already heard it before, and that's your brain going, well, I'm only going to half-ass be here right now because I'm going to check out and think about what I'm going to have for dinner tonight, right? So it's actually just distracted thinking, right? It's a way of checking out. And so that's okay for when we call it what it is. It's a distraction, because we never know what someone's going to do with that information. We never know even if it is the same information, how they're going to present it. We're never going to know what we're going to absorb differently this time. Like, you can watch the same movie 3 times and go, oh my gosh, I've never seen that bit of the movie before. Like, that changes everything.
Yeah.
So we just have to be aware of, I've tried that before, because we don't know what's going to work for us now. We're different. We're evolving. There's neuroplasticity. We are changing all the time. Things change. What works for us changes. And the other one that you mentioned, that doesn't work for me, that is valid, but I want to delve in. The coach in me wants to go, okay, why? Why doesn't it work for you? Did we stop at the time to analyze why it didn't work? Is it just a limiting belief? Is it a bit like me saying, oh, I'm not very good at finances?
Yes.
Because it's a limiting belief. Why? What can we do? What system can we put in place to help you with this? Is it something that you have been told? Like, an example of this is my best friend spent 28 years of her life thinking she was allergic to seafood. Turns out she's not. Her mum's just allergic to seafood. And somewhere in her childhood, she picked up that there's an allergy to seafood, but not absorbed all the information. And she actually doesn't have an allergy at all. It's her mum's allergy. Like, we just absorb this stuff, like, from our parents sometimes. So is it something you've been told that maybe you're not good at, or that's not going to work because you heard it somewhere sometime? And is it still relevant? Because we are always changing. What works now might not work in the future. What works, what worked in the past might not work now. So all of those things are, just good to question. So when you hear those things coming up, is it a trick? Do we need to analyze it? Do we need to talk about it? And it still might be valid. That's okay. But it's worth spending a couple of minutes on there and just seeing.
Definitely. I know with that one that doesn't work for me. It's like, oh, that's okay. We can try, and we can always put it back. Like try something out. Nothing's put in concrete. We can always move things back. And when I put that, they're like, oh, you just change it all back. And I went, of course I would. So that is definitely something that helps us to then move past it, try something out, and then if we need to tweak it again, like, that's one of the things I love about my job, is being able to always come back and revisit it and move it around. So yeah, it's a great tip though to check in as to where is that coming from. Generally it is, it seems to always, when it does come up, it's from childhood. It seems to be a lot of things, that come up for us. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I love how you've unpacked that, because especially around the chemicals in the brain with ADHD, is there any other than ADHD chemicals that you find really stand out that sort of maybe stop things from moving forward in particular? And I'm just throwing you an extra question, but I know that, is there any other things that come up for you that you see that could be stops people from moving forward around the chemicals in our brain?
Well, I think, and not in terms of chemicals. I mean, there's a lot of dopamine seeking, and sensory seeking, and sensory avoiding behavior.
The dopamine seeking, because I also heard about the dopamine, a low dopamine morning. Have you heard about low dopamine mornings and doing activities to get a low dopamine morning, and so that later in the day you actually will last longer? So yes,
I love that. I mean, we know that people with ADHD, they're seeking dopamine a lot of the time, right? Like, we do dopamine dressing, we do dopamine sugar, and all the things seeking these behaviors that or seeking things that give us that dopamine hit, or at least feel like they're stimulating a little bit of dopamine. But it's bigger than that too, in the way that some people are just need a high sensory input. We need a high sensory diet, and other people are sensory avoiders, and it can chop and change between the thing. But it's worthwhile at least knowing, or analyzing what your patterns are, because most of us move through life not really even knowing, not even knowing these things about ourselves. But how much power is it knowing, there's freedom in knowing, because you can go, even with dopamine seeking behavior, you can go, this is what I'm doing. And you take some of the pressure off.
Yes. Look, I will do dopamine seeking. For me, is my job, just going and organizing. I get the biggest high from it. So if, for example, a client cancels last minute, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go home and do a little bit of organizing at home of something that I need to do just to get that dopamine hit. And then I'll be able to sit down and do work. So, but if I didn't have that awareness, in the past, I might have then beaten myself up. Why are you doing this? This is just wasting time. You should be doing stuff on your computer instead. But now I understand that I'm just seeking dopamine from what's happened, and I'll feel good, and I'll, keep going then for the rest of the day. So, yeah.
And there's so much power in that, because and that's the power of the diagnosis as well. It is being able to know yourself, understand yourself, learn about your own brain, what it needs, what the requirements are for you to have a happy, functional life, and also give yourself grace. It's okay that once you know that, you can go, this is a pattern I'm running, or this is something that I do. This is what I need to do to feel comfortable in this situation. And that is perfectly okay.
Yes.
That is perfectly okay.
Yeah, definitely. So for you right now then, just something I forgot to ask you at the start, but I'd really like to know, is there something like a spin at the moment, like a special interest that you've got at the moment?
Yes, I'm into, at the moment, there's a bit of a misconception going around that people with ADHD can't learn habits. Right? Oh. Yeah, I just hear it from clients a lot, oh no, I can't get new habits and stuff. And I'm not sure where this came from, because people with ADHD can learn new habits, right? It just takes them a little bit longer. So what takes more repetition to do it. But once they pick up a habit, they tend to hold on to it a lot better than even neurotypical people. So they are really good at maintaining them once they get it. So think about how often you've lost your handbag. I would say probably never, right? Ever. We are good.
My glasses all the time.
But somewhere you've picked up the habit to have that handbag, right?
Yeah,
so we can do a habit. And so now my particular interest is about educating people about habits, how to establish them, how to use them to kick your brain into neutral so you're not having to actively think about it, but also habit stacking. So building on other habits that you have that are currently working out really well for you. We can stack some stuff into those to make things easier, because everything that I do and everything that my company is about is just making day-to-day life easier, because I acknowledge that, I live it as well. We have to make life we're only here for such a short time. It has to be joyful, functional, and I want to have more fun. There needs to be more time for that to happen. And so I will always lean towards strategies that give people more time, joy, and functionality and fun, because
I love that.
Yeah.
And that habit stacking, it's about also, isn't it, that dopamine, that motivation to keep going. And if it's an interesting, gamified almost habit, it's going to stick, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. And that's you've nailed it there. Exactly what is interesting to that person. That's the bit, because the ADHD brain loves to do things that it's interesting to them. So you've got to, that can change between person to person, right? So we're just narrowing in on what that person finds interesting, so we can go, boom, there it is. Let's do that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. That's great. I love hearing what people's interests are at the moment, and what they're researching or doing, especially business owners, because they're always looking at some particular area, aren't they? Because you ask them what do they do in their free time, and they're like, well, I just work on my business. But there's always something that they're really interested in. So how can people connect with you, Sharon?
Yes, so on Instagram and Facebook, I am at The Functional Family, the handle, and my website is thefunctionalfamily.com. And you'll see there's the podcast, everything there. Oh, the podcast called ADHD and Family. Yeah.
Okay. It's not called, you couldn't get The Functional Family?
Well, I wanted ADHD in the title. So so I chose ADHD families. I'll get that right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I'll include all those in the show notes. But thank you for your time and sharing your wisdom with us again today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's Simply Happy conversation. If you'd like a clutter-free home and clear mental space to be able to focus and get stuff done, then join me for an introduction to Yin Yoga. These Yin Yoga shapes have been selected to balance your base and heart chakra so that you feel grounded, supported, accepted and connected, and can reduce mental and physical clutter in your life. Get immediate access to the free short videos and take the first step towards a clutter-free home and mind. Head to simplyhappy.com.au in the resource section and start today. I'd like to acknowledge the Wathaurong people of the Kulin Nation on which this podcast is recorded as the traditional custodians of the land. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging.